want to welcome you all to Puppies in the Park. It's going to be a great day as we celebrate the healthy lifestyle of Prairie Trail and our great walkable community. You know, Prairie Trail was just a dream back in 2005 when we first got started and had our very first event in this park, Precedence, with Home Show Expo 2008. And we've come a long way from that. Today we're in a big growth mode. We've got a lot of vision coming to life, and I think that's because most of you people out here today, and I personally and the team at DRA want to thank you for, being dedicated to Prairie Trail as it grows and all the excitement that's yet to come. As we look forward, there's so much more to come. We've got more businesses, more services, more amenities, and more residents. We're excited to make the announcement of Home Show Expo 2015. For those of you that have seen some work happening to the south of us, south of Cascade Falls Aquatic Center. That will be home to a new neighborhood called the Estates at Prairie Trail and also the site of Home Show Expo 2015. So next July, we'll have the opportunity to show this great development off to most of central Iowa. So that's exciting. We're honored to have Dr. Doug Layton here today from UnityPoint Clinic at Prairie Trail. He's been a big proponent and a sponsor of this event.
Kona decided to join me. I'm really excited to be involved with this project. This is kind of a really neat get-together. It's a nice way to get community together, along with everybody with the love for pets. It's pretty hard to go through this neighborhood and not realize how many pets there are. It doesn't take long. Many of you know that we have two golden retrievers. This is Kona, and Cooper is over there. They are about as different as any two dogs of the same breed can be. Kona is really built as a hunting dog. He's a little smaller, a little more agile, a little more high-strung. Cooper, on the other hand, is more square and boxy and with the long flowing hair and definitely more laid back. So they're kind of different. What I wanted to talk about today, a lot of people ask, why is a family practice clinic so involved in this, this whole operation that's going on today? And the big thing is that we know that we all feel better when we're around our pets. But the interesting thing is there's now a multitude of studies out showing that we actually are healthier because of our pets. And there's actual reasons for that. So I kind of want to go through some of those studies and some of the things that are out. I'll keep it brief. We won't get too deep into any of them, but I think they're kind of fun and kind of interesting. First thing is talking about your dogs and your mental well-being. There was an Australian study that actually showed that pet ownership led to increased social contact, more socialization in neighborhoods, and even a greater perception that a neighborhood was friendly, which just actually goes along great with this concept of what's going on today. There was also a psychologist that talked about the health effects of pet ownership and talked about that not only are you more healthy because of a pet, because of the exercise that the pet helps with, but also it's an opportunity for you to socially interact with other people, and that's a big contact spot too. There was a New York study that talked about that if you were doing a very stressful task, that having your pet with you actually decreased the amount of stress that you feel. What was interesting is they went further and they actually compared it to having either your spouse or a family member or a good friend with you, and the pet still won for a decrease in stress. There's also some interesting articles about the heart protection of having a pet. Actually, pet owners are 30% less likely to die of a heart attack than a non-pet owner. A cardiac arrhythmia study showed that a dog owner had a 1% chance of dying within a year after a heart attack, but if you didn't own a dog, your risk was up to 7%. That's a pretty big drop. There's still other studies that show that even if you've had a pet at any time in your life, that you're still less likely to die of a heart attack than if you have never had a pet. We know that some of this heart protection that goes on is effects of blood pressure. The simple effect of, unless they're really stressed out, the simple effect of either just petting your pet or to looking into an aquarium will decrease your blood pressure significantly. They showed that if someone had a very stressful job and they adopted a pet, that adopting that pet decreased their risk of ever having any issues with their blood pressure. They also did a study that involved undergraduate students. The undergraduate students were allowed to either pet or talk to or play with dogs, And during that time, they continually monitored their blood pressure and showed that while they were petting their dog, their blood pressure was the lowest. While they talked to their dog, it was a little bit higher, but if they had to talk to the interviewer, it went up significantly. The one question I often get asked about pets is pets and newborns. I have people ask about, are there risks of allergies if you have a pet in your home? Are there risks of infection if you have a pet in your home? And actually the studies show just the opposite. A child who's raised in a home with a dog actually has a significantly lower risk of allergies than somebody who's not raised in a home with a dog. We also know that children that have a pet in their home have they miss up to 3 weeks less of school per year than someone, on the other hand, who doesn't have a pet in their home. There was even a new study that just came out that talked about that if there's a pet in the home while someone is pregnant, that child will have a decreased risk of pet allergies. There's many medical conditions that seem to really benefit from having dogs around. Alzheimer's is a good example. With Alzheimer's patients, having a dog present decreases the stress level of both the caregiver and the dog. We know that they've also been using dogs now to facilitate weight gain in some of the malnourished Alzheimer's patients. A malnourished Alzheimer's patient is often because they don't focus on the meal. It's not important to them. It's not something they think about. But having the pet around actually increases their attention span and increases their eating at mealtime. Children with medical conditions often benefit from having pets around. The two conditions we really usually talk about are autism and attention deficit disorder. Both of those conditions, we know when they have a pet present, they do better with interacting with other people. They build more ways to socialize with other people, which benefits both. We also know that for kids with attention deficit disorder, the routine of having a pet often helps build into their day and improves their condition of being able to focus. Along with that, kids with autism have been shown to have far better social skills if they're playing with a pet than if they're playing with toys. The last thing I guess I want to talk about was exercising your pet. The last blog that we did for the Prairie Trail magazine, it talked a lot about exercise. A 2011 study showed that people who own dogs were 35% more likely to complete 150 minutes of exercise a week. 150 minutes of exercise is considered the minimum amount of exercise we should get. Simply buying a dog increases your exercise routine by at least 30 minutes per week. For us, we have two large dogs that have a lot of energy. Simply going for a walk with them tends to not be enough to help settle them down. Smaller dogs, they may be able to get away with that. So we look for often ways to exercise our dogs off lead, places where we can walk and they can run. They're harder to find, but there are quite a few out there. There's a lot of the public hunting areas between mid-July and mid-February will allow you to have your dogs off lead. There's an awful lot of hiking trails, especially in out east of town at the Chautauqua area. A lot of those areas you can have your dog off lead. The biggest thing I always ask people is make sure that you're comfortable having your dog off lead and that you're comfortable with them being under control when they are off lead. Long and the short of this is there's a lot of good health benefits to owning pets. I think this project out here is one of those things that's going to help support that. I hope this project and others like it continue.
Have fun for the rest of the afternoon, and thank you all for coming out.